Anna Werner joins us from Kalamazoo, Michigan. Anna, this is truly a strange story. What do we know about Jason Dalton, and what about the charges that he's expected to face?
Well, at this point, investigators are still trying to answer a lot of questions about Dalton himself. We've heard that some neighbors told reporters that they had heard him shooting a gun out the back door of his house from time to time. But we also know that he has a wife and 2 children, that he began as an Uber driver not too long ago. Uber says they did a background check on him and it didn't find anything. He has no criminal record. But today he's expected to be arraigned here at the courthouse, and he's expected to face 6 counts of murder, 2 of attempted murder, and 8 counts of felony use of a firearm.
Anna, it's every American's worst nightmare. Such a horrific story. We know that a 14-year-old girl was among those shot at the Cracker Barrel parking lot. There's an unbelievable story about her survival. Tell us about it.
So prosecutor Jeff Getting told us this story last night. He said that the 14-year-old, doctors had actually declared her dead. She was on life support for organ donation when she unexpectedly squeezed her mother's hand and then did it again on command when she was asked to. So here is a 14-year-old girl, her mother, I'm sure, thinking that she's going to donate her organs, and suddenly she feels her squeeze her hand, which he calls a miracle.
Wow. I know that the victims really there was a range from the 14-year-old to older people. What else do we know about the other victims?
Well, you know, here you have people at the Cracker Barrel in 2 cars. You have 4 older women in their 60s and 70s and this 14-year-old girl. We know they were in 2 cars when they were shot. All 4 of these older women were killed in the parking lot, apparent just random victims of this guy who pulls up and starts shooting. Then you have a father and son at a car dealership looking at cars in the lot after the dealership has closed, probably, you know, checking out a car, doing an innocent thing that many of us might do, a man and his 17-year-old son, a high school young man. And then you have this woman who was the first apparent victim in a townhome's parking lot. And the prosecutor also told us about her that she herself probably saved lives. He said she was there with some children. And when this man allegedly pulled up and confronted her, pulled out a gun, she told the children to run, and then she was shot several times. She survived that shooting miraculously.
Unbelievable. As I said, this is so scary for people here, anywhere, because the suspect was an Uber driver. So the question, I guess, that is on everyone's mind is, does Uber have a role at all in this investigation? I know they say, reportedly, that he passed any of their tests.
So Uber says that he passed a background check. And we don't know what part Uber's playing in the investigation, but I'm sure that investigators have gone after or will go after all of Uber's records on this driver. I read in one of the newspaper accounts that there was a passenger who said that she had taken a ride from Dalton, somebody she said was Dalton, in December, mid-December, and that he had told her that he had recently started as an Uber driver and that some people had complained about him, that he'd gotten some bad reviews, but he blamed that evidently on passengers who were drunk and some problems with his car. That was in one of the newspaper accounts. Now, we don't have that verified ourselves, but just a sense of that he had evidently recently started as an Uber driver. We understand that he worked for an insurance company up through 2011. But there are more holes than there is information on this alleged shooter and the man who police and prosecutors consider their prime suspect and who we expect to be arraigned. The prosecutor told us last night that he was aware that investigators had told him that he did, in fact, pick up one ride at somewhere in the beginning of all this. And as you know, of course, there are these other people who said that either they were picked up by him later or they were almost picked up by him later. And, the prosecutor was saying that some of the things that they found at his home when they conducted a search warrant was that he had a number of different types of guns and a lot of ammunition. I asked the prosecutor, I said, did those guns include assault rifles? And he sort of smiled slightly and said, it might have, which to me meant probably yes.
Wow.
So, the prosecutor said that he had some suggestions himself that made it suggest like this person had some problems, and he wasn't able to specify more about that, but that there were things going on there that concerned him, and obviously he still has a lot of questions as the prosecutor.
Very disturbing. Anna Werner, thank you so much, Anna.